I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in today's video, we're going to be talking about my ex knows that they're avoidant.
How do they know?
How do they know? They've had 67 exes tell them they're avoidant.
And a therapist.
Yeah, sometimes an ex or a partner will actually have an understanding of attachment styles and realize that they have a pattern with being avoidant in their relationships and that they struggle to meet the needs of their partners. And when you're in a situation like this, it can be really confusing because you're thinking, well, I don't understand. If they knew it, didn't it mean that they were going to change it?
Yeah.
Didn't it mean they were going to stop it?
And it can be a really confusing concept that somebody can be so self-aware of an issue but not be working on it or not even have the desire to work on it. And so a couple of things that you'll quite often hear people with avoidant attachment styles say is, I like the way that I am.
I don't have a problem with the way I am. You have a problem with the way I am.
You can't accept me.
And if you have a problem with me, why do you want to be with me? What's wrong with you? If you haven't heard that line from an avoidant, you've lived a good life.
You may also hear things that are very negative about the future and kind of implying that they can't change. They might say, well, I can't change the way that I am, or I'm going to be this way. You know, this is just the way that I am. And so with this type of mentality and attitude about the way that you connect with people, it can be so hard to really form a growing connection with someone.
Yeah, the big one is, I like the way that I am.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the way that I am. I don't think I have a problem. I like the way that I... Where do you go with that?
Yeah.
How do you navigate somebody who doesn't see the neglect that they're causing you as an issue?
And what's hard here is the reason that they developed an avoidant attachment style is because they had to.
Yes.
You know, so I don't want this video to be, demeaning towards those with more avoidant attachment styles, but more so, understanding the dynamic of somebody being self-aware and at the same time not ready for change.
Yeah, because you're right. Sometimes the avoidant will say things that lets on that they understand that they can't give you what you need. That's a big one thing that they say. I can't give you what you need. You need somebody who can give you more, or
you deserve more.
Yeah, you deserve more. Things of that nature. And they really mean it. They really feel guilty about it. And a lot of times they're like, I've tried. I've tried, but it's still not enough for me, and I want you to be happy, so I want you to go be with somebody that can give you those things.
Yeah. And I think you bring up a really good point about the guilt, which is something that we don't often realize. Because avoidance can come off so nonchalant and so non-caring about most issues that a lot of other people do really care about, it can make them seem really cold or like they don't experience emotions. Sometimes you might even hear people say, I don't have emotions, I'm like a robot, and have this sense of, there's something wrong with me, I'm broken. But with that does come guilt, does come a negative self-perception and negative feelings about self. So the whole idea that avoidants don't have feelings is a complete myth.
Yeah. So the thing that makes it so difficult is that avoidants struggle to connect and open up, but in order to repair their attachment issues, they have to work through that and learn to be vulnerable and appreciate closeness. So it's a difficult, it's like a catch-22.
Right. And it's really ironic because for the avoidant attachment style, a lot of times they will have a problem in their life and think, I need to take care of this by myself. There's that phrase that you often hear, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself.
Yep.
And so what's very ironic about this in the context of healing attachment style is that it does not work that way. You can't just work on your avoidant attachment style by yourself and make it happen. There is a vulnerability requirement to be able to feel your emotions deeper, to be able to experience more empathy for others. So that vulnerability piece is so important.
And I think it might be a little confusing to understand what we mean by like not being able to work on it. Like, in other words, when we're talking about attaching, we're talking about a connection to attachment to another person. So you can't practice like an avoidant attachment style if you're by yourself, right? You have to practice it with other people and the connection with other people. It's not like saying, oh, you can't read about it or work on workbooks or stuff like that you can't work on it. It's just that to put it into practice, it requires another person you're attached to.
Exactly. And that's the great thing about therapy itself, is that it is the relationship that is healing, the relationship between you and your therapist.
Yeah.
So that models a vulnerable type of being able to say to another living human being what's going on. Yeah. I do want to note that being self-aware is really great, and it's a great start, but it is not sufficient for maintaining a healthy relationship in the long term if your attachment style is continually triggered. So you have to be actively making better choices and healing from those past traumas, which is the crucial part, is making important changes and making important choices.
That's right.
You know, when Margaret used to talk about the avoidant attachment style, she would sometimes reference the book Trauma and the Avoidant Client, I think it was called, or vice versa, one of those. And she would say that researchers would theorize that people who have developed an avoidant attachment style have some sort of core attachment wound that was traumatic enough for them to give up.
Yes. And that's important to understand, is that it was so bad for so long, they gave up. Okay, whereas the anxious people probably didn't have it quite as bad, and so that's why they were getting enough scraps to at least want to keep trying.
Right, and fighting.
Yeah, for the avoidant, it just became, this is pointless.
And for the avoidant adult, working through that attachment style also means addressing the original trauma, which they are terrified to do so. You know, if you do think about a kid who has been repeatedly neglected, you know, every time he says, for example, I'm hungry, he never receives nourishment. His parents never give him food, and he's constantly starving. Then in adulthood, it's going to be really scary to think back to that childhood self that was needing so much and addressing the hurt and pain that you have experienced.
Yeah.
So it can be something that's really hard for grown adults to do.
Yep, absolutely. And it's frustrating if you're dealing with somebody who's like this, and you may feel helpless because you want so desperately to repair that connection with them or have that intimacy with them, and they refuse to do anything about it. They refuse to change. They refuse to do anything different. They refuse to listen or, you know, grow with you. And it's incredibly painful and difficult because all you want is to make things better with them. But you can't control them. And if you try to control them, they're just gonna, you know, get even more adamant in their refusal to cooperate or participate.
And the best that you can do is being there as a support, being there as an influence on their life, gently challenging them if you can, but you cannot do the work for them. Fundamentally, they believe, I was too hungry. I asked for too much food. Instead of thinking, you know, my parents didn't provide me with what I needed, but I understand that there are people out there who can do that, who can provide me with that food. It is a core distortion in the way that they view the world and the way that they view themselves. And so I want to remind you, with all of this knowledge, this is to educate you, to put things in perspective for you, but you are not their therapist. You know, this is the work that is their responsibility. You can support them, you can be there for them, but really to work through a lot of those traumas, it does take therapy. And I want to emphasize that because a lot of times we can know a lot of information and they can know a lot of information too. And then we start as a partner to hyper focus on their avoidance. You know, see, the day that you left while I was trying to talk to you, that was you being avoidant, and that's exactly what you need to work on. And this just continues the cycle of shame for them. Mm-hmm. So while it can be helpful for you to, you know, be there for them, at the same time, remember that you are not the person responsible for fixing their core traumas.
That's right. But you have to love yourself enough to know what is enough for you and what isn't. And if you're really unhappy, then you have to walk away. Otherwise, you're not going to be happy and you're just going to stay miserable, mm-hmm. right? Okay, so it's a lot to think about, and we have tons of videos that cover attachment styles and understanding them better. And of course, you can check out the Creative Healing course and the workbooks. But if you want to get our help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.